Welcome back, folks, to Pigs TV. I'm your host, Pigs. Um, I wanted to go through something. It's gaming related, and I've mentioned it on the channel a few times about the idea for the mini motorways. I was going to write a program to be able to do random cities. So instead of me trying to work out which one I was going to play or ask yourselves for an example, I was going to write a little program, and then I thought to myself, what I was going to write, and then I thought, I'll tell you what, why don't I bring this to the channel? Some people might be interested. I know it's a bit nerdy in some respects, but I just thought you might be interested in what the thought process behind some things that I do, and yeah. So I think, like I said, it's for the mini motorways, but it's also you'll understand that it's hopefully going to be for things like the bar, which is beyond all reason. And the problem is beyond all reason, it doesn't have a way of saying, well, I want an 8-player map and this, and give me a random one. You can't do that, especially when you just want to play a skirmish map. There's nothing there. So something like this, sort of my idea, would hopefully generate some of that. But I just thought I'd go through it. So anyway, so I prepared a book. I started the initial program on the initial idea about, I think it would be about 25 days ago now. But for whatever reason, with other things, as you well know, and blah, 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 it didn't get any further. But what I'm going to show you is sort of the start and the ideas. And I've got a couple of images, to go through and things like that, and see if you like this sort of thing. And obviously, as I'm probably going through it, I might bring some more if you're really interested in it. It is obviously gaming content, but gaming in a different way. And this is what this this playlist that I've put it in is all about. It's all about miscellaneous stuff, but all connected to gaming in one way or the other. But anyway, so let's run this. So what my idea is for the let's just run this, and you'll see it on the main screen. What my idea is to have a slot machine. I may have mentioned it before, but this will be a dynamic slot machine, not anything you would normally have in a normal slot machine. So it'll only have one barrel, which is this here. I know it doesn't look much, but this is dynamically created. So this is a Unity engine, and I'll go over the two steps of why I'm having two programs to control this, because of what I've mentioned, like with bar and mini motorways and anything else we may have that's map oriented that we can play, that we can randomize. So like I said, so in my little testing thing, I wrote the geometry. I'm trying to think of, I don't want to go too far technical, which is based on vertices, points and lines and whatever you get. That's how models work. Any model that you've played in 3D, this is how they work. And it's usually in a triangle. You can't see the triangle, but the triangle would be diagonally down there. So this is made up of two triangles, and obviously the next one is made up of two triangles. But I know it's not a lot to think, but what you have to imagine is, let's say for the mini motorways, we've got 22 maps. So you were having a rotation, it would go around in a circle, which I'll show you in a minute, in a 2D side view of the 22 maps. But because of the way I'm going to write it, if we've had, now I could do some procedural, I'm trying to think what they call it. I remembered what they called it last night, and it's stopping me now. It's basically a randomization. So it's a seed. So it's like a seed where if it hasn't been played for a while, that'll be a higher seed than what something else with. Unfortunately, I can't remember what it's called, and I remembered it last night. I've done something like this before on another program that I was doing. I think it was a game that I was doing, and I was wanting some random, and I wrote it. Oh, that works. Never decided to get any further with it. But anyway, so what you have to imagine is this would rotate. So as you can see, I'm just manually doing it, but this would be something that would happen in the program. And obviously this would rotate around a point, like exactly like a slot machine. This is what a slot machine would be, but obviously this is only one reel where we would have, and a normal slot machine would have several. So, and this would be dynamically created from the other program, which I'll go through. So that's the principal idea of the program. So this is built in Unity Engine, which is obviously a separate program altogether. I've used Unity. It's been a couple of years, I must admit. So when I was writing this, I was scratching my head because you couldn't, when you don't do these things, you don't tend to mess about with them. So this would just spin like all that, one way, but that's it. So you get the premise of that. So let's go back to, and these are all images. So as you saw that image there, although I've created this manually, when the program does it, which I'll show you an idea soon. I haven't obviously created the program, but I'll show you the linking and things like that in an image. This would have a name. So for example, it would have New York on there, or it would have Beijing, or it would have Wellington or London. But the other program would control that. So it would create this. What you saw there, this image actually is actually dynamically loaded in. So obviously if I change that as a different image, then it would obviously it would look differently. But so you get the premise of that. So let's go to what I call the side view. Let's make this bigger so you can see what I mean. So imagine this is a slot machine. And what I mean is obviously I've got some prepped up images. So imagine this is the front, but imagine what you're seeing. And like I said before, so we've got the reel, but we'll only have one reel in that, not three, because we don't need three because it's just a spin. And obviously I can create the other stuff hopefully in Blender. It's been a while since I've done a bit of blending for that. I've done other things with Blender, which is videos that I'm going to bring. Just it's connected to gaming, but in a roundabout way. So I may have a handle, I may have a push button, but anyway, I just wanted to show you that sort of thing. And as you can see with these, what I want is at the front where you may see it. So I may see an exact machine, but I want you to be able to see the top and obviously this bottom. This is why I wanted to create it in 3D, because 3D allow you to do that. 2D won't really allow you to do that sort of thing. But anyway, so we've got that. So imagine that this reel is here. It's got 22 segments. And obviously it has to rotate, but it's a lot more complicated than that, just saying, because obviously, let's say for instance, like I said, this has 22 segments, but what happens if then I only wanted 21 because obviously I've just already played that map. When we go to the random, we press a button and this will spin and that'll give me the map. And then you'll see then, oh, we've got such and such about to play, then we'll play. So like I said, so these are the segments. Dynamically created and on and off. So the problem being with that is we'll have to adjust this wheel, so we'll have to adjust it back and forth based on how many segments that are created. Again, it gets a bit more complicated than that. So if you take, say, this point here to this point here, I've got to work out a way using distance, which obviously Uni can do that straight away. I've got to decide how much distance I want, what the length is going to be, is a better wording for that. And the reason why is you saw, let's just go back to here again. If you can see here, this is stretched quite a lot because you can see the image being stretched, which you don't really want. We want to try and get it as it would look on here. So that's something that I've got to try and work out. But obviously at the front, where you're going to see, so you would see from the right angle going to the left, a see-through, like again, you would see from here. So imagine that is that point that I've just showed you here. What I have to be is, say for instance, bar for an example. Now bar could have, we want to produce an 8-player map. It needs to be, in grass, or it means this or this, or whatever it'll be, is this plane will need to adjust back and forth depending on how many of these you have. And it will be dynamically created. So for an example, if in like I said, mini motorways will have all these. If I turn one off, it'll have to readjust itself, which will need to do back and forth plus the distance. That will be all. It'll be a bit like if you don't know how a browser works, the browsers have like a pre-render, so it's all calculated if it can. And some browsers or some items that say, well, we don't know the height or the width of the thing, we'll make it, and then after that, when it comes to display, it will have to rework that out. Something in Chrome will say, oh, this flag has been set, so we need to tell the system to move things down or move things up and adjust it. It'll be something very similar to that. So I'll have a pre-calculation, which then will go on forward to actually be able to do the circle. So we've got that. Now this is now going to get a bit more techie. So I do apologise, but I just thought people would be interested in my ideas of bringing this forward for the channel. And something different that nobody else has. So what we've got is, we've got our, in this left-hand side, I get left and right mixed up sometimes. We've got our slot machine, which I've just showed you. Now the slot machine and this other program we created don't know each other. They're not going to know each other. But the reason why it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a pluggable system. So this is basically, in a sense, it'll be in WinForms, and that'll be Unity. Two different technologies. Yes, they both can do C#, and I'll be no, Unity doesn't do C#. It does something else. But I can either create in VB or it'll probably be C#. I've done C# for years anyway. But I just put VB in there because I can swap between them. But anyway, that's by the back. So this, in a sense, this program here is, in a sense, a double program, and there's many different ways to create these ideas, but I like a pluggable system. And what that is you first have a dummy program, which actually, in a sense, has a through port to what you want to do. So this will be, like I said, this will save the image, which is this sort of image here that we'll create dynamically. It will also either create a file which the Unity engine can load in, whether it be XML or JSON, because it won't be going the other way, it'll only go in one way. And JSON's very simple. You don't really need a browser to create it. You can actually create it yourself. It's not that difficult to create. XML's the same, not that difficult, but you know, in WinForms, if you use an older version, say I tend to use number 4. .NET, which is 2010 onwards, it doesn't have JSON built in, so you need to use another NuGet package to do it. I'm not a great lover of that. I've never been. I just don't understand why Windows didn't just upgrade it to have it in .NET anyway, or even in later versions. But anyway, that's by the back. So basically, what a pluggable is, it tends to have for a better word, a dummy program, and then the plugin itself, which tends to be, it can be everything, but it's usually a DLL, which is a dynamic link library. Dynamic link library, you will see them on a lot of programs that you have, if you've ever looked in the file system, is it has DLL on the end. And what that can hold, it can hold images, graphics, models, any sort of thing. I think it can even hold another program. It can hold whatever you want it to hold. But what mine will be the pluggable. So eventually we'll have two. So this is the reason why, because if I had to have, let's say, for instance, a Unity one for bar and a Unity one for mini motorways, it would look differently. So I'd have to create two separate programs to do what I need to do. So I don't really want to do that. So the plugin itself, the plugin always has an in, which is an out. It may have an also in, but we don't really need to create one. Although I've created this one here, as you can see with the arrows, because when that image gets filed, or when the JSON gets filed, the Unity program doesn't care. It doesn't care that it's a bar program. It doesn't care that it's a mini motorways. All it cares is that's the file, that's XML. Get on with it and do it. And that's how it works. So we'll have a form come up. I'll select, I want the mini motorways plugin, or I want the bar plugin, for an example, or anything else I create. And then I'll say I want this turned on, that turned on whatever else. So in bar, I might say I want an 8-player maps. This will also be linked to an SQL like database, because obviously pulling that information. So I'll have to. It's a bit easier in a sense in mini motorways because you only have, well, they're motorways. But obviously in bar, you have a lot of things where you want an eight-player map. You want, like I said, it wants to be grass, it wants to be this, or you want to turn it off, or you want to do all sorts. And this will give you the random. It's a completely different. Bar is a lot more complicated, but this is why I wanted to do it as a DLL and a plugin and not do it as a separate program, because obviously that would bloat out the Unity engine side, but I'd have to create two programs. I couldn't do it one because obviously how Power is, it's quite a complex randomization compared to the mini movies. So anyway, yeah. So let's go back to the slot one. So you see what I mean by this, my idea now of having a slot machine, which will make it a bit more interesting. In other words, instead of me trying to work out a map, I will press a button, watch it, and it'll spin round and slow down and say, that's the one we're playing, you know? And then obviously I'll do something to say the randomization that will be changed, so it'll be further down the list. So in other words, it won't maybe come into the next 3 or 4. I don't know. It depends on how this is. It's all randomization. It's all ideas. This is what, before I even wrote it, I just thought I'd bring this to you and see what you reckon, see if you like, because you only ever see the end result. You never see the stages of ideas. And obviously, as I'm building this, I'll bring it back and you will see it progressively come through. So anyway, if you've got any questions, by all means, put them in the comments and, I'll answer them as much as I can. But hopefully that's got you an idea of what I'm creating. I have mentioned it a lot of times, but you don't really know what I'm actually ideas. Obviously, like I said, it was a program. There was a programming before I do the YouTube, the content creation, and I like programming, but I also love the YouTube. So I thought, now I've obviously got a camera, now I've obviously got the other things, and I've been building it up. I've been wanting to do these sort of things to let you know. And here's more sort of things coming out of this. They're all connected to the gaming stuff. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And like I said, if you've got any questions or anything, please put them in the comments. And I hope you like and subscribe. I hope you really enjoy this sort of content because, like I said, I want to bring more. And anyway, you all take care. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.